Hello, my name is DZ-BT-08 or Caffeine Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the decks I am most excited to be playing from the brand new Knights of Rebirth. Unfortunately, while I'm excited about it, it is a fraud, because today I'm going to be talking about Youthberk Skyfall Arms Rebuild. This will be matching with the two master deck sets we just got for Michiru's Drawjeweled and Urara's Leonorn. These new deck lists, all three are getting new forms too. This is just getting it the earliest. So let's go ahead, hop right into it. Of course, I am on the ride line for Rebuild. The Grade 1 Squire of Spear Streak's Youth says when it's rode upon by this Grade 2 Starfall Ardent Light, for a single soul boss, you get to check the top 5 cards of your deck. If it's a Youthberk, you can add it to hand. And if it's a Grade 2 or less, it's just called. So, pretty good. Pretty straightforward. Gives you a little minimal investment. The Grade 2, when it's rode upon by a unit with the Revel Dress skill, for Energy Blast 3, you just get to pick a Grade 2 or greater card from drop and add it to hand. Essentially the exact same skill as the original Grade 2, except without the counterblast cost. So this deck, all it does is set up better. Like, it's kind of, you can't really prevent these when rode upon skills from happening because it goes off Energy of Soul. And of course, going up to the Grade 3 Youthberk Skyfall Arms Rebuild, which has the Revel Dress ability, which at the end of the battle attack, you get to perform one of these two skills. You can pick a Revel form from hand, write it as stand, and it'll get drive -2. Or you can counterblast 1, pick a Revel form and drop, and write it as stand, and give it drive -2. So this lets you use your Revel forms as discard fodder too, which is pretty good for its next auto ability. That when it's rode upon during the battle phase, you can discard a card from hand, and you can pick one of your vanguards and increase or decrease its drive to 1. So this lets you get an extra drive check from your Revel forms. And lastly, when it rides back over a Revel form, you bind the unit that's rode upon instead of putting it to soul. For my Grade 3 lineup, of course, I'm on 3 Persona Rise, 4 copies of the brand new Revel form, Youthberk Revel form, exist, which when it's placed on Vanguard Circle for the Revel Dress ability, you get to perform all of the following skills. For Energy Blast 3, so uninteractable. They can't really damage or deny you. You get to pick one of your rearguards and stand it. Your front row gets 10k, 20k if there is already a bound exist. And if you have a bound exist, also this gets a critical. And at the end of the turn, you rewrite a unit with Revel form, or Revel Dress in your soul. Along with those 4, I'm also on 2 copies of Revel form Tempest. This is the classic GOAT of Youthberk that when it's placed onto the Vanguard Circle, it gives the front row 5k, so you're already getting that number up. And for a counterblast, you get to reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Pick an opponent's rearguard with the same grade as one of the revealed cards. Bottom deck it, and both cards go to hand. And again, at the end of the turn, you rewrite your regular Youthberk. The reason I'm on the extra Tempest is because I wanted a few more targets to potentially draw into. You could forsake that entirely, go only the exists. I would honestly be doing that if I already owned the order package. But the last card for the list for Grade 3s is going to be my Regalis piece, Bracing Angel Ladder, which can be put to soul to give your Vanguard 2 skills that during your turn, all of your Vanguards get 5k, and all of your rearguards cannot be chosen and cannot be put to other places than Rearguard Circle by opponent's skills. I'm mainly on it for the extra card draw, honestly. The extra card draw, the extra soul, and the extra protection. Honestly, if I had the spare one, I'd be on Caliborn. But that's neither here nor there. Going into our grade 2s, I'm on 4 copies of Night of Rebuking Duijid. I can't say this name. That on place for a single counterblast, you get to check the top 5 and add a Youthberk from it to hand and then shuffle. And when he attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Youthberk, it gets an additional 5k until end of turn. You know, just nice, simple, little searcher, 15k beater. Other than that, I'm also on Armor Breaking Knight, a Duringen, who, as long as you have a bound rebel form, gets an additional 5k. And when it's stood by the ability of your Youthberk Vanguard, for a single counterblast, you draw a card, and when you attack, your opponent has to call 2 or more cards from hand to guard if they choose to guard from hand. And then lastly, I am on 3 copies of Divine Sister Biscotti, regular Guncycler. When discard to ride up or placed on Guardian Circle, energy lasts 3, or counterblast 1 to draw a card. And its Persona Ride skill lets you check the top 3 cards of your deck. Call 1 if it's during the main phase. Call 1 during the main phase, or just leave it on top, and then the other 2 go back to bottom. For grade 1s, I'm on 4 copies of Bard of Brave Instant Carino. That, when it's placed, which has the skill that when it's placed on Rearguard Circle from deck or discarded during your turn, as long as you have a Youth Vanguard, you can search your deck for a Rebel form, add it to hand, and then you put a card from hand to soul. Just a nice way to search your Rebel forms. If you do it on your rebuild skill, you discard her, you search out your exist for the next turn. Also on 2 copies of Knight of Vanquished Bow Sfield. God, can't say it. That, when your Vanguard is placed by the Rebel Dress ability, it restands and gets 10k, so it's just another booster. It's really nice. I'm also on 2 copies of the Knight of Ivory Bow Klieglu. Hope I didn't butcher that too badly. Which can be discarded, and if you're on grade 3, to return 2 cards from your soul or drop to the right deck. 2, check the top 7 for a differently named grade 3 to add to hand. And if you don't see one, you just get to add this back from drop. And when it's put on guard circle, it gets an extra 5k if you're at 3 or more damage. And if your opponent has a G-zone, you can bind a grade 3 from drop to give it an extra 10. Which can actually be used if you're in that matchup, you ditch an exist, you guard with him, bind the exist from drop to make it a 20k guard. Going into your exist turn, you're guaranteed to have that extra crit 20k. And then lastly, I'm on a copy of Yellow Jeweled Beast Topaz, who on place on rear guard by doing the same cost as the Gligu. I didn't butcher that too badly. You can do one of the following depending on where it's placed. If it's put on rear guard circle, you get to check the top 5 cards of your deck for a rear guard unit and call it. If it's during the battle phase, it's called as rest. Or if it's put on guardian circle, it becomes a 20k guard. And then just regular perfect guards. For triggers, I am on 7 critical triggers, just the regular ones. I'm actually on 4 draw triggers. And this is because you need to be seeing pieces. You really do need to be seeing pieces in this deck. If you miss even one piece, you are kind of boned. I'm on 4 regular heals. And then my OT of choice for this list is the Spiritual King of Aquatics, Eidos Faro, who, when drove check, you get to take a card back from drop, put it to hand, and give one of your units a critical. Now, what are my thoughts on Exist and Rebuild? I'm disappointed. I'm admittedly very disappointed in this deck. I think it's cool. I like Exist a lot. I kind of wish Exist could slot into original Youthberk easier. But I feel like it's just missing a few pieces. I really like the ride line. The ride line is a better Youthberk ride line. You can run that in the original Youthberk too, and be perfectly fine at doing really well. But that is my list for a rebuild. If you guys like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Like I said, I know this isn't the best list. This is just what I'm going to be playing because I'm not investing in the order stuff for this deck. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Latest.